Welcome to a live edition, a special edition of the PFF forecast. Football's finally back, so we had to kick it off the right way. We're going to talk about the Bills and the Rams game. We're going to bet a lot. I have not, in full transparency, I have waited. I'm going to place every bet on this here podcast. It's going to be fantastic. And then we're going to talk about week one. We're going to pick a lock of the week. I have some strong opinions, weekly held. We'll see if Eric can back me off of them. But we're going to start with something really tremendous. We're going to do a reading, a live reading. You're going to want to listen to this, especially Jets fans. Let's rock. You look really good in that new hoodie there.
Thank you. I've been, I got to say, like, what I like about the world we currently live in now, which is
not much.
Right. I mean, but I like full transparency. I just got off the rower and like, I'm wash off the face a little bit. Yeah. Put a little makeup on for the podcast and just get ready to go.
That is a lot of transparency.
I feel like there's a little bit of football guy in me for having the cutoff here. I like it a lot.
New logo, looking solid. Our intro on Twitter still doesn't have that. And we're not actually going to talk about what college team is this? Do you know what this is?
Look.
Our set director needs to figure it out. Anyways, if you're here and you're rocking with us, this is going to be a fun
We haven't.
show.
So I'll just say this right now. We have not done a show at the studio in forever.
In a while.
It is. We are kind of. It does feel like we are like sort of staying at an Airbnb as opposed to like our own studio. But what I am really grateful for after you kind of moved a little bit is to have this this podcast together. So even though God knows, I mean, Western and Southern, great sponsor, we love them. But I don't know what the other one is. That like the Arkansas. I guess who is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue. If you are getting ready for the game and this week, recommend that you go download the PFF app. It is now live. That way you don't have to go onto your browser and haggle through our website to find all the great content, all of your great content. A lot of good betting content on there, not just for this here game, but for the entirety of week one. And give it a nice little 5-star review. Mm-hmm. Throw us a little review. I said that I was going to read a good one if anyone had a good review, and I think we have one on here. Sometimes they don't make them all the way through, but I got a hashtag printing press review in here from Captain Coconuts. Nice little 5-star, and he said the following. He said, since Austin Gale decided to jump ship, I had to fire on the printing press to forecast some betting options. Nicely done there. Generally, the best strategy was betting against what Austin felt. PFF has a lot of great content in terms of betting. The question I have, since this may be read on the podcast, is it better to make a lot of smaller minimum bets, a shotgun approach, or to make some larger, more precise, long-range shooting approach?
I can see why, by the way, Austin would have elicited a shooting approach, a shotgun approach by some people.
To try and maximize your wins. Captain Coconuts. So go on there. We'll read your, like I said, if you have a question, you can ask a question. If you have something funny, post something funny, and we will read it and answer it. What would you say to that question? Because I bet a lot of people have that same one.
It depends. Like, honestly, it depends upon your bankroll. Like, the stock answer is if you're a recreational bettor, it's just what you want to do, right? Mm-hmm. There's, if you're a recreational bettor, you have to know that, hopefully we can get you from, a certain percentage hold to that percentage hold divided by 2 or 3 or whatever. If you are trying to make money sports betting, you have a bankroll, right? And you bet according to the edge that either you think you have or PFF thinks you have or PFF plus whatever other entity you use has. In which case, I think people would be surprised. Like, let's say you have $1,000 bankroll. I think people would be surprised to like what Betting Kelly would suggest your bets would be, right? Mm-hmm. Like a 1%, stake is a humongous bet in a lot of cases, and that's what $10 of a $1,000 bankroll. So I would say, look, but if you're a recreational bettor and you can't get a sweat off of anything unless you bet $100 or something, then you basically just need to say, look, I have a $1,000 bankroll and my bets are 10%, and I might go broke right away if I it's like going to the Bellagio and having $200. Like, that's just a handful of hands if you're not careful, So it depends upon what you're trying to do. I think most people who are recreational bettors just bet, have a fixed amount, bet a certain percentage of that, and know if that percentage is higher than a couple percent, you might go bust just by bad luck alone, let alone and not having an edge or not. If you are somebody who has a bigger bankroll at tens of thousands of dollars, then I would, you're clearly serious about this, and you would bet a bet size according to Kelly, which would be the smaller edges get smaller bets, and the bigger edges get bigger bets.
And if you can find bigger edges, good for you.
Yeah.
That's that. I would generally say, if you're a recreational bettor, that you probably want to do the former, which is to have more small bets. And if you want to spread some around, and that way you can kind of enjoy it a little bit more and start to learn, especially if you're learning betting, then I would definitely take that route, because nothing sucks more than getting unlucky to start something out and then you're totally screwed, right? If you have, say $1,000 bankroll and you bet $100 every one, you could just get unlucky and be kind of shit out of luck. Okay, we are going to start with something that was not totally planned, but the New York Football Jets announced their depth chart, and I thought it would just be useful for this podcast and the listeners, members of the printing press, to hear it, because we talked about the Jets this offseason, as some people may remember, and it's interesting to see what their depth chart is. Who they have starting and who they're not starting. So, would you do us the honor?
Yeah, let me fire this up a little bit here. By the way, this was a Jets draft. By the way, a Jets team that drafted so well that my colleague and one of my best friends in the entire world, George Chahrouri, was told by multiple YouTube commenters and Twitter people to, quote, quit your job. So I'm going to come in here and read from the gospel that is the Jets depth chart. Wide receiver. All right, we're going to call this the X position because I know ball.
Yep,
okay, this is the X position. Number 84, Corey Davis. Number 11, Denzel Mims. Interesting. I'm going to look at the slot receiver, often called H in NFL offenses. Braxton Berrios, number 10. Jeff Smith, somebody called Jeff Smith, 16. And then the Z receiver position, again, because I know ball. Number 8, Elijah Moore. Number 17, underlined here because he is a rookie and a first-round pick, a top 10 pick, Garrett Wilson. So far, the Jets have one top 36 pick who is currently a backup. Running back, the running back, y'all. 32, Michael Carter. 20, underlined again, Breece Hall, the 36th pick in the draft, a guy who cost the Jets a 5th-round pick and a 2nd-round pick to move up and get. And we were told he's going to start from day one. What the hell does a 5th-round pick matter? Now, look, he might get carries. But when I spend the 36th pick on a running back, that motherfucker better have 25 carries a game. And it looks like Michael Carter is the difference between Breece Hall and those 25 carries. Ty Johnson, 3rd string. All right, moving on. Edge. Number 91, John Franklin Myers. Number 54, Jacob Martin. Number 47, an edge player wearing 47, Bryce Huff. Interesting last name, maybe a description of how he is as a player. Edge, number 58, Carl Lawson, coming back from a leg injury. Number 52, Jermaine Johnson, the guy who famously got 9 pressures on vaunted FCS opponent Jacksonville State on 25% of his pressures last year. Joe Douglas, of course, needed him badly, traded back into the 1st round, got him 2nd string defensive end for the New York Jets, who have a win total of 5.5. Number 72, Michael Clemens, another rookie backing up there. So look, so far, I've read off 3 first-round draft picks for the Jets. All 3 of them have earned 2nd string for the Jets. Good for them. Lastly, cornerback, number 1. We got this one, Ahmad Gardner. A 1st stringer for Ahmad Gardner.
Good for him.
We got one.
Good for him.
We got one. We got a Jets rookie starting week 1. An accomplishment and look, from Cincinnati you were born. To Cincinnati you start for the Jets.
Yeah.
So far right now, the Jets draft, there have been 2 winners. They're both from Cincinnati. One of them is George Chahrouri, and the other one is Ahmad Gardner. Sauce Gardner.
You knew if one of those guys was going to figure it out, it's going to be Sauce.
Right, of course, but he has the Cincinnati roots. He's tough. You know.
I'm playing the slow game. I'm waiting for Malik Willis to usurp Ryan Tannehill, because that was the one that really angered people. Was I said like they should have taken Malik Willis, and obviously Malik Willis fell super far. We'll see. I'm not going to take my victory lap quite yet.
I mean, the Jets could really use Malik Willis right now. I don't know. I mean, if you guys want to see Joe Flacco wearing Keyshawn Johnson's number 19.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait to bring Zach Wilson back until he's fully healthy, mind and body.
Mind and body.
Did you hear that? Did you see that quote from Robert Salah?
Oh, really?
Yeah, mind and body. His knee is hurt, but also his mind not in the right place. What does that mean?
I mean, there's one common way that men use to clear their head. You know.
So are you saying that he needs maybe to go on a retreat?
Well, all I'll say is when I was in college at Minnesota State University, my mother sent me care packages, and they included things like, toothpaste, toothbrushes, a little snacks here and there. I think Zach Wilson's mom's going to have to send Zach a different care package.
I see what you're saying.
For him to get his mind, body, and soul into right alignment, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, we're going to talk obviously about the game that's kicking off tonight, kicking off the NFL season, the Bills and the Rams. Bills minus 2.5 point favorites over the Rams. At this point, this line has been beaten into
some
efficiency, right? It's been live for however many months. So I guess for people that are out there, it's like, okay, that's the one bet that I know how to place. I'm going to place a spread bet. If you had to bet one side of that, not that you are, but what would it be?
Yeah, I have some. Ben Brown and I wrote the hey, what would we bet when the schedule released? We took Buffalo +1. We're getting a little bit of cleave there now that Buffalo's minus 2.5. I think a lot of people are talking about a teaser, right, where you can take LA out to 8.5. The total being 52 is a little worrisome there. You do have the injuries to Buffalo's secondary, which at early on moved this total up a little bit to 53, but we've seen it back to 52. Look, I wouldn't bet. I mean, there's so many things you can bet on in this game. Side and total, you're betting into the sharpest markets. If I had to bet, though, I mean, I would probably go Buffalo still until it got out to 3. We do make the total 53. It's just not necessarily big enough by the smallest of margins, to bet. So anyway, I would probably look, if I had to take a side, it would be Buffalo and over, but the Rams, obviously are a great side, and Buffalo, without the corner, without Tre'Davious White, I think it's going to be harder for them to have success. Von Miller switches sides of the field and goes to Buffalo there, maybe put some more pressure on Stafford than he's used to. But this is I'm looking forward to this matchup more for how everything's going to be than I am really eager to bet a side here.
Nice use of your last name.
Thank you.
I saw a lot of people pick the Bills. Makes sense to pick the Bills. Stafford's elbow, it's probably not 100%, given that he spent his entire press conference the other day being like, yeah, I feel great. Best I've ever felt. Feel amazing. And then they show clips of him throwing the football 5 yards down the football field with a sleeve on his arm. But the interesting thing about this, I think, is the Bills' secondary and their corners, they don't have Tre'Davious White.
They didn't have a ton of depth to begin with.
Right. Rookie and Khair Elam over there. And, you have Cooper Kupp. Now you have Allen Robinson. So, I don't want to get, I don't want to say that all of the advantages are on the Bills side, but there certainly are plenty, right? You think about the talent that they have at receiver, obviously, and we'll talk about some of those receiver props here in a second. They have Von Miller now, who was on the Rams and is now on the Bills, and the Rams do not have Andrew Whitworth anymore. So I don't know. There's something about it that the fact that it hasn't gotten to 3, I do think is interesting because everyone loves the Bills.
Well, this feels very very Super Bowl. So would that have been 53-esque, right? Where the Rams opened as a small favorite, and the total was over 50. It got bet out to New England plus 2.5. It never quite got to 3. And then there's a bunch of people in the public sector. So I remember that Super Bowl, you had there was that action documentary on sports betting, right? And they sort of went over the Todd Furmans, the Kelly and Vegas, all I'm waiting for Rams plus 3. I'm waiting for Rams plus 3. I'm not going to get it. Okay, I'm going to take plus 2.5. It's well, no, that's actually pretty stupid because if the reason you would take Rams plus 3 is because that's worth 4 or 5%, right? Whereas taking 2.5 is frankly stupid if you needed to see the 3 to even get there, right? So I that's where and you've seen a lot of talking heads. One of my friends, Adam Rosenberg, was like, do we think the Rams are the public side? I'm like, yeah, public in the sense that everybody's talking about betting them today, and the number hasn't moved an inch, right? That's the definition of a public side, where every content creator in the world is like, oh, I kind of like the Rams as an underdog tonight, and the number doesn't move. That means that there isn't sharp money on the Rams. There is sharp money in the Rams, of course, but it's balanced out by sharp money on Buffalo. So so when I look at this spread, I think, okay, at this point in time, the limits are freaking high. The number is what the number is, right? And I actually, frankly, like the fact that this is a game that we don't have really an opinion on this particular bet, because I think if we did, obviously, the whole statement is if everybody's bet into a game and you're off, you're probably wrong. We're probably more likely to be right about Jacksonville, freaking Washington than we are about Buffalo, LA first game of the year.
And we just know less about these teams, obviously. The season is starting. There's so many questions to be asked about both of the teams. So that means that the place that we're going to look to are player props. By the way, go to PFF.com. Get yourself a PFF Plus subscription today. If you buy a PFF Plus subscription and either Josh Allen or Matt Stafford throw 4+ touchdowns in this game, you'll get a free year of PFF Plus.
You will.
But you also get the opportunity to use the player props tool and to see all of the opportunities to bet. Because if you're betting the spread and the total right now,
our friend Rob Pizzola, who by the way, congratulations to Rob on launching the Hammer HQ through BetStamp and all that. Rob, every single time they play a World Cup game or one of these Euros or whatever, he's like, look, Pinnacle's taking $1 million on the side of these soccer matches. Mm-hmm. If you think you have an edge, you're wrong. That is, that's kind of how I feel about tonight's game as far as side and total, just to be honest.
Thank you for your honesty. Oh, yeah. You don't get enough credit for that. I feel like people listen to your chats.
Yeah, people like me bullshit, but people like my bullshit more than they like my honesty. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah. By the way, if you're still out there and you haven't gotten a best ball fantasy league in yet, there's still a little bit of time. Go to Underdog Fantasy right this very minute. They're really quick. That's the other thing about best ball drafts. They do not take a long time, and they have a great offer for you. You can bet or you can deposit $100 with promo code PFF and get a free PFF Plus subscription if you play 10 of those dollars. So they'll also match, I'm butchering this miserably, but they'll also match your first deposit up to $100. That was what I meant to say.
By the way, are we supposed to talk about the competition right now? Because the syndicate, the new syndicate is going live right now. And I noticed their fearless leader, Simon Hunter, is wearing a flowered shirt.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you think we should have worn a flowered shirt tonight?
Yeah, maybe a tablecloth would have been nice. A nice addition to the podcast.
I mean, you either have to. I mean, if you're at this point, if you're gonna call it a syndicate, you got to wear Adam's outfit in Genesis 1, don't you? Mm-hmm. Just a fig leaf.
I would have also
for how much exposure you have for tonight's game.
He's getting paid in rookie cards, okay?
Jesus' rookie card, he's wearing a fig leaf.
Anyways, go download the Underdog app and play Best Ball Mania for your chance to win $2 million. Also, if you're looking to bet tonight, and I'm sure that you are, and you're in a state where it is legal, DraftKings has a nice little opportunity for you. They're, of course, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Bet $5 any game, so it could be tonight's game, and you can get $200 worth of free bets. They come in $25 free bets, and then you can place those all throughout the weekend. So if you get that in tonight, then you're in good shape. They also have a get up 7, you win. If you didn't think they were trying to help you enjoy the game, all you have to do is be up by 7 points. So take advantage.
You know how many bets the Falcons would have won us if we got paid out every time they were fucking up 7 points?
Even if they lose, man, this is 2 years too late. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF when you sign up and get $200 in free bets when you bet on any game, $5 at least. That's code PFF only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for terms and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. My God, 1 per customer, minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued in 8 $25 free bets. I swear to God, they must not be getting. Who is listening and calling these numbers?
Here's a business proposition for everybody. Look, I'm not the most entrepreneurial guy in the world, but I'll throw an opportunity out there. Anybody that can consolidate the helplines across states, that's going to make some money. I would call it 1-800-9-with-IT.
Isn't I thought they tried that with 1-800-GAMBLER.
Is that what it is? But why are these states eschewing 1-800-9-GAMBLER?
Maybe they want more state-specific data.
But okay, so I guess if somebody in New York is a problem gambler, you have to treat them differently than a guy with 1 tooth in Tennessee is a problem gambler. Is there a difference, heterogeneity across geography here?
It's a really good question. Maybe it's because they actually do in-person interventions.
Oh.
It could also be that maybe they're trying to access the data about that person and
the real sticky wicket with sports betting right now is so for example, I have a BetMGM account that is Indiana, and I can't if I go to New Jersey and I want to bet, I have to get everybody is this way, so I'm not picking on BetMGM or Caesars or whatever, but the separation of the states, right, is a problem, I think. And to your point, I do wonder if part of the issue is that other than the big ones, other than DraftKings, FanDuel, but even DraftKings and FanDuel, they don't operate in fucking Vegas, all this kind of stuff. I do wonder if that separation across state lines is really the reason for the separation in terms of problem gaming helplines and things like that.
Yeah, maybe. I know, for example, BetMGM's app is a good example of this, where they are unifying across states with your wallet, so that you don't have to deposit in multiple states, right? Because that is even a thing, right? You've got to deposit in multiple states. You used to have to deposit in multiple states. Anyways, we could talk about this for days. We will not. We will move on to player props for tonight's game. Okay, I will start, and I would like to start with I think my favorite one, and that is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp over 7.5 receptions, -115, -120, -110, wherever it is at. We have it on PFF.com on the player props tool, which you should go get right now with your PFF Plus subscription. It's $1.54 per freaking week. You can pay for it right now for an entire year. And by the way, if either quarterback throws 4+ touchdowns, you're just fucking rolling in it. But here's the thing. When he's in the slot, he's going to be facing Taron Johnson, who's fine, but 70 PFF grade, one of the mismatches that we've identified algorithmically in the PFF app, which you can check out, obviously. And when he moves around, he's not going to, he's never going to see Tre'Davious White, who's not playing. And here's the other thing that I love about Cooper Kupp is Allen Robinson is good. He has the respect of other teams. It's not like it's Cooper Kupp and no one else out there. And So I'm not, 7.5 receptions. But here's the other thing. If they're behind, right? If the Bills are winning this game, they're going to have to throw. Matt Stafford's elbow ain't throwing it downfield.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's looking to his guy Cooper Kupp, especially in a situation where he and Allen Robinson probably still getting their their bearings, I guess. So I think that is my favorite one. That's the first bet that I am going to place.
I like that one a lot.
That
one a lot. This one it depends upon the sports book, but the one that I like is Stephon Diggs over 5.5 catches, right? Like I think, and it depends. I know I've got it at -129 at Barstool Sportsbook yesterday. I did see it earlier today at BetMGM at -105. Obviously, you want that as well. I see it on my PPH as -158. So it's all over the place. And again, this is why props are better, because you can price shop and actually get significant differences between the prices on these as well.
So tell me about this, because I think my initial reaction is, well, Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Stephon Diggs.
Uh-huh.
And Jalen Ramsey is by far the best corner.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They don't have a lot of their other corners, David Long Jr. is fine, but he ain't great. And it's not like the Bills don't have talent at other positions. I mean, Gabe Davis is really good.
Right.
So talk me through your rationale here for Stephon Diggs.
The Rams have not necessarily been great at stopping number one receivers. And I think part of it is because Ramsey doesn't actually necessarily always shadow the best receiver, right? Like he's an inside-outside player. They oftentimes will do the Patriots way of having Ramsey shut down number 2 guy and then kind of bracket the number 1 guy. And the thing with Diggs is like his ability to get open is sustainable. It permeates through zone and man coverage. And Josh Allen is the kind of guy that also will just like be able to delay. Diggs has got more avenues to getting the football than just like winning in under 2.5 seconds. Mm-hmm. He's got, Josh Allen moving around and messing around and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we have seen before Diggs in big games get shut down, like against Kansas City in the last game that the Bills played. The reason Gabriel Davis had the 4 touchdowns is because the Chiefs did a pretty damn good job of stopping Stephon Diggs. He had the 2-point conversion, but for the most part, he was, fairly contained. I think that in this game, Gabriel Davis is going to command some respect. And in fact, he's a bigger wide receiver, meaning I think instead of having like Troy Hill on him or a smaller corner, they might put Ramsey on him, who's a bigger guy, more physical. And that might leave Diggs to more of the sort of straight up coverage. I also think additionally Diggs was phenomenal last year, but he wasn't as good as he was in 2020. And I do think that there is maybe a little bit of a narrative that he's declining a little bit. Like this number last year for Diggs was 7.5, mm-hmm. right? And if we ran this back week 1 of 2021, Diggs' number is 7.5. So I think you're getting a value of getting 2 catches shy of that. And the other part is no Emmanuel Sanders, no Cole Beasley. I think we all believe that those targets are going to go to the Gabe Davises and the Isaiah McKenzie of the world. I don't know that we haven't seen in actors yet, but like Khalil Shakir out of Boise State, who was fantastic in the preseason, and so on and so forth. But they might just go to Diggs, right? Like that's kind of the way I see it. Plus our model likes it. That's the number one reason.
Yeah, I think it is definitely an interesting one. Okay, next up, I had to give this one to you guys. This is Matthew Stafford. His elbow doesn't feel great, but you know what feels fantastic? His legs. All he needs is 1.5 yards. Mm-hmm. Now, they're an underdog. I do not anticipate them kneeling at the end of the game. That would obviously throw this one off. But he's feeling fresh. Okay, he's had a nice off season to just hang out in LA, probably doing some beach runs. He's going to go for a little jaunt, a little scamper. Just needs a short one. Yeah, and I also like the fact that with with Von Miller over there, obviously without Andrew Whitworth, a little bit, not as solid on the protection side. He's going to be under a little bit more pressure. He has to get out and run. Can
I interlude a second here? Our friends at the 33rd team have produced their first ever power rankings. 5:39 Eastern on the day of the season starting.
Do people know what the 33rd team is?
They're another content creator.
Okay.
They've been able to acquire a lot of former players to write
It's not actually a 33rd NFL team.
No. And the power rankings, I think, reflect this.
Oh, okay.
They have Rams 1.
Oh. Okay.
The Rams were the 4 seed in the NFC last year.
Are they just like going to empty the coffers and go? Because here's the thing. If you believe
the Rams are the number 1 power rated team, they have Buffalo 2nd, Kansas City 3rd. No one's believing in the Chiefs. The LA Chargers 4th, by the way. Guys, I'm going to rant about the Chargers a little bit later.
Oh,
but
good.
Tampa Bay 5th, the Bengals 6th, the Eagles 7th over your 49ers, and then the Packers, so the Niners are 8th, Packers are 9th.
What? I mean, I've been known to bet against the Packers, but that is fucking terrible. Sorry.
If you think that the Rams are they taking all their seed money and betting it on the Rams tonight? Because the Rams are the home team.
Yeah.
They're 2.5 point underdogs.
Put $33 on the Rams tonight
to win 30. It's unbelievable.
So here's the problem. That's how you know people are not doing any math. Because if you're doing any math,
they do have Detroit 20th, which I kind of like.
You're thinking about the variables that you need to consider, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, like at PFF, we have all of this data. We use all of that data in constructing power rankings. But we're not sitting there going, man, I bet that's the only data that we need on planet Earth. Like, let's exclude the rest of the world. Because there are these things called the market, which give you a fairly good data point, and they happen to think that the Bills are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, the Bills are favored against the number 1 team on the road.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like, look, if they were even Steven, right? Like this is. Like, let's assume that ordinal rankings are tough, and we talked about this last year when I had Kirk Cousins 8th and I had Lamar Jackson 9th.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Sure, yes. But ordinal rankings are tricky. You do want, and if you go to pff.com /NFL /power rank, /betting /NFL power rankings, you will find not only the order in which we like these teams, but the difference between them. So we have Buffalo 1st, Kansas City 2nd, Tampa Bay 3rd, Green Bay 4th, LA tied with them at 4th, right? But it'll also tell you the point spread if you look at 2 games. So when we look at this, we have Buffalo 6.4 points better than the average team on a neutral field, which has regressed a little. It's going to grow as the season progresses because we know less about these teams right now than we will in a couple weeks. We have LA as 4.9 points better than the average team on a neutral field, right? So that's where the 2.5 point spread's coming in. We don't necessarily give LA that much of a home field advantage, especially when, there's not rest to worry about and things like that. And in fact, we only make the game about a 1.7 point spread or so. So you have that difference there. If you power rate Buffalo and LA similarly, then the point spread should be the home field advantage that you give them, which, let's be the smallest possible 1 point. Then you have a 3.5 point edge and whatever, those percentages are in betting that. So they should be the 33rd team should be all over the Rams tonight.
They should be. Can I ask you a question? I know we were talking about player props, but the total is now at 52, which is where it opened, if I remember correctly. Are you at all intrigued by, in terms of betting the over with the illegal contact?
Yeah, and if you look at where we're at now, actually some of these numbers have moved our way, but there's one, for example, the Right Angle Sports Group bet Green Bay and Minnesota from 49-ish, 48.5, kind of is 48.5 for a long time, down to 47 where it is now. I'd be a little worried. I would bet over that, right? And I know that there's market resistance against it. But, the thing about this week is I would almost always say if you're looking at what will be the effects of rule changes, it's going to be towards overs. And so we like over in quite a few games this weekend. I think the only game that we've kind of played just a tip with the under has been New England, Miami, but that game has, that's oscillated from 47 to 46.5. Mm-hmm. I think we would take under 47, but not under 46.5 for what it's worth. But yeah, there's a lot of low totals this week, right? And there's a lot of, like you take Jacksonville, Washington, right? 44 is total. What if Trevor Lawrence is who Steven Ruiz says he is, the 14th best quarterback in the NFL after one season, despite throwing the most interceptions in the NFL? Then the 44 is an egregious number, right? Mm-hmm. Because if he puts it all together, they're going to get their implied total pretty easily. And I think Washington's a better offense than people will give them credit for. And Jacksonville's defense is cheeks. So that's one where like you put it together and you're like, okay, why is that total low? We've seen the big steam on the overs. We talked about this. The lock of the pre-lock of the week we had was over 46.5 in Philadelphia, Detroit. Now it's 48.5 sharp. But like that's another one where if Detroit and Philadelphia are as good at the offensive line of scrimmage as we think, like this total's too low, right?
By the way, someone called you dumb in the chat. Take under 47, but not 46.5.
I said under 47.
Yeah.
But not 46.5?
Yeah. Did you say that?
Yeah. So I would take under 47 in Dolphins, New England. I would not take under 46.5.
Right. And someone was making fun of you because, like, what does a half point matter?
Folks.
I knew that was going to get you going.
The edges are small in this game.
I knew
right? The edges are small in this game.
I know it's going to get you
47 going. Is also like, I mean, again, how many games do people think land on 47?
Well, people don't know.
People don't know, right? 1% is a humongous amount, right? And like just round down to 1%, like if you come off of that number, now the game lands 47, you have a push that's now a loss. Like these things matter.
Some good bets being thrown out in the chat, by the way, if you're watching live, get in there, get active. Andrew Cooper is betting Zach Moss plus 310 to score a touchdown. Bills love him inside the 20 is his analysis. What do you think about that? You Zach Moss fan? I can kind of get with Zach Moss, like they're gonna spread the ball around. I actually think this is kind of correlated with the kind of under Josh Allen rushing attempts, where like they want to run him less. I believe his total is at 6.5. I would bet under that.
Yeah, that was one that Ben Brown really liked too when we were chatting about what bets to make at the sportsbook yesterday. The interesting one. I think these are good discussions. Actually, I was on Mike Renner's podcast talking ball, which is kind of cool. I think Mike's fantastic. He was saying he wanted to make two bets on Jonathan Taylor, and he said he wanted to bet over 20.5 attempts, and then over I want to say it was like 90.5 yards. Yeah. And I was just like, well, back up. Like you got to think about these things sometimes. Like against Houston, in what situation does Jonathan Taylor get over the carries but doesn't get over the yards? It's going to be really like there's a ton of games where he gets over the yards efficiently and then they rest him. So it's like 17 carries for 100 yards. But against Houston, if you think that he's going to need to get 21 carries to get over 100, then you shouldn't bet 100. You shouldn't bet the over yardage. You know what I'm saying? Like in how many simulations of the world does Jonathan Taylor go 21 for 73 against Houston of all teams? Like that's I think, and so this is one place where I think player props are such a great opportunity, but they're also risky because they're correlated with each other, right? Yep. What we want to do, in a lot of situations is have a portfolio, if you will, of bets on a weekend, and you either want to have a ton of bets that are correlated with something that you think is an edge, right? That's how, and we answered the question from the very beginning of the podcast, which is, do you want to make one big gigantic bet or do you want a bunch of small ones? And I think the answer is kind of like yes, right? Which is to say, have a bunch. If you really have an angle on a game, bet a bunch of things that point in the same direction as that angle. In which case, if you're wrong, you still might win some of those and get some back. Whereas if you put your whole bankroll on, the side of a game and you lose it, you could have been like, well, shit, I bet Falcons -3 and Matt Ryan went, 347 and 4 touchdowns, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, if I would have spread my stuff out a little bit, I would have been able to, recoup some of these things. And that's the blessing and the curse of player props, right? Which is that you can put a portfolio together of a bunch of correlated things, or you can put a portfolio together of a bunch of not correlated things and try to like kind of squeeze out a small percentage, much like we did in the Super Bowl, where you had, Bengals +4 and then Stafford MVP and all these things where if Stafford wins MVP, chances are there's a good chance the Bengals could cover that, but they might lose the spread as well. But there's that middle there that you can get.
You're getting dogged in the chat here.
I know.
Give us one more prop bet before we move on.
By the way, who's it said? He's a white guy, half an inch matters and are important. Well, I love that.
Some good comments in there. Go join the chat. Get active.
Yeah, Mike Howell. Love Mike Howell. Anyways, bet under 46.5 and cry when the game line's 47. That would be my advice if you think that that's stupid. All right, let's do. This is one that we're gonna bet all day, right? We're gonna bet this every single week until the books wise up and give us fucking minus 150 on it, and that is Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns.
Oh, you've pivoted games. Okay,
I pivoted games.
All right, I'm in it.
Yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns is lock of the week material every single week.
I agree. I think it is lock of the week material
every single week.
Oh man, it definitely is. And I really only have one other. So let's just move on. Let's move on to, if you want to bet more props, there are a bunch more. Go on to PFF.com, get yourself PFF Plus subscription, and have a blast tonight. We're gonna move on to the rest of the slate here. So let's talk about that Kansas City Arizona game. Yeah. Because so it's now 6.
And that's the Right Angle Sports Group. I mean, that was at -3. The chat will be the members of the printing press will be super surprised that I got Chiefs like -150 for like the max. And that got out to -3.5, and we're all kind of feeling good about ourselves. Got to 4.5 early this week, and then I think the Right Angle Sports guys released out, Chiefs -4.5. It got to 6. Right, there are real market influencers there. At 6, it's really implying that like this is going to be a bloodbath from an offense perspective. 53.5 is the total. That's the biggest total of the weekend, and it's all because when you look at the Arizona Cardinals defense, half the team is less athletic than you are.
It's not pretty.
And the ones that are athletic, I used to make fun of this all the time. Isaiah Simmons and Zayvon Collins are really athletic, but the problem is they're running the wrong way, so they're further out of where they should be when the ball is thrown. That's my big concern here is that the Chiefs defense has a lot of young players on it, right? Like their secondary, you have 2 rookie corners that are going to see time. You have George Karlaftis, defensive end. You have 2 young linebackers. It might take time for them to develop, right? I think they'll be okay, but you have Kyler Murray, his athleticism. I know there's no DeAndre Hopkins. Offensive line isn't very good. But I think the Cardinals will score some points in this game. The Chiefs are really going to have to fuck shit up to get stopped in this game, right? It's going to have to be interceptions. It's going to have to be drops. It's going to have to be Ronald Jones fumbling. It's going to have to be something stupid for the Chiefs not to score 35 points in this game, right? And that's really what the total is saying. The total is saying, the Chiefs are going to come for 35, 40 points in this game. It just depends upon whether the Cardinals, if you want to bet them +6, are going to be able to match.
Yeah. 6 is a lot. It's in Arizona. If this were, in Kansas City, I obviously understand it. But Call of Duty hasn't come out yet, right?
Well, apparently there was an early release this week.
Oh, no.
Which is some people are attributing to the number being moved.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm out. Forget that then. I was going to try and make a case for the Cardinals. I can't anymore. Okay, so lock of the week opportunity or potential, we have Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. It'll be very hard to beat that one back. Let's go to a game that I have been interested in and am curious how you feel about it. And this is the New Orleans-Atlanta game. Over 42.5. Now, the case for this is that 42.5 is really freaking low, okay? It's really freaking low. Here's what I have to say. Now, the Saints defense is good. We know this. There might be, they're probably a top 5 defense. Might be the best defense in the league. But Kyle Pitts is a unique beast. Drake London has been very good in the preseason. Cordero Patterson catches the football. And here's the thing. Marcus Mariota, I don't expect him to light the world on fire, but he's going to run a little bit. He's going to add a little bit of newness. People haven't quite figured him out yet. And 42.5 is just super freaking low. So I like the Saints with Jameis Winston and those new receivers being able to move the ball, obviously, against the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Falcons trying to come back, picking up some points.
That one's interesting, right? Because the calling card for this New Orleans Saints team
is defense.
Is their defense, right? Like I think everybody believes they're going to be good defensively. Look, I love you to death. We've seen some Falcons games die on the vine.
True.
I know it's a different era, and I know Mariota looked extremely electric in the preseason, right? He looked very spry. He looked good. Arthur Smith. He might not know anything about football history, but the guy can call some bootlegs. Mm-hmm. Saints go with Landry, Michael Thomas. Their offensive line's a little banged up, but the Falcons defense. I mean, look, I could play defensive end for the Falcons. Like this is, so I get what you're saying here. I'm willing to consider it, but we have to know the scars.
That's true.
The scars.
That's
the
true.
Falcons.
Sorry, it's a new season. I apologize. I forgot. We're gonna wipe that one. We're gonna pretend it didn't happen. Let's go to a different game then. Take me home.
All right, I like this one. All right, look, from 1982 to 1994, the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, were one time the LA Raiders, the favorite team of one Ice Cube and his friends. Okay, there are more Los Angeles Raiders fans than there are whatever the hell the Los Angeles Chargers are. Okay,
true. By a good number.
Yeah, I mean, look. That stadium is going to be filled with Raiders fans. Mm-hmm. How does that matter? I don't know. Like, I don't know how home field advantage is just this amorphous thing where I don't know, how to price it in. But what I can say is if we take the long view on both of these teams, right? We look at the power ratings for these teams. Everybody and their grandmother likes the Chargers, and I get that. And everybody kind of likes the Raiders, but are lower on the Raiders than they are the Chargers.
Yep.
However, I think in this week one, the Raiders are never going to be better than they are now, right? Because the Raiders are the reason I'm bearish on the Raiders is because I think they're terrible in weak link positions, offensive line and secondary.
Yep.
They're not hurt there yet. They're going to get hurt there eventually. But right now, they're as full strength as they're going to be, right? So they're never going to be better than they are now. Mm-hmm. The Chargers, look, I don't know if it's going to get better or worse. Chances are it's going to get worse. But J.C. Jackson's out, right? Bryce Callahan is already, he's a great addition. I like that a lot for them. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great value. But again, he's missed a lot of time over the past few years. Khalil Mack, we don't necessarily know. Is it going to be the Khalil Mack early on in Chicago? Or is it going to be the Khalil Mack that struggled a little bit, got hurt, all that kind of, not struggled a little bit, just got hurt. How long does Derwin James last in this game? I don't know.
Look at you.
Who's the right tackle for the Chargers? I'm willing to bet that every single media stiff is wrong about the Chargers, and I will bet the Raiders plus 3.5 in LA in front of Ice Cube.
I like the Raiders there. I like 3.5. I'm also intrigued in betting them plus 150 for all of the reasons that you just said. I'm not sure it's my favorite one, but I do like it quite a bit. Let me take you to, I think this is my favorite spread that's available. And this is Tampa Bay minus 2.5 in Dallas. Dallas Cowboys offensive line will be without the two starting tackles that they had last season, Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins. They won't even have Jason Peters there yet. It will be Tyler Smith, who was drafted, was going to play guard, is now playing left tackle. Terrence Steele, I believe, is playing right tackle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously have a very strong defensive line with Vita Vea in the middle, Shaq Barrett on the outside, Troyan Shoyinka on the other edge.
Love that.
Shaquille Barrett, I believe, graded 10th in PFF grade last year. And so that's a big issue, right, for the Dallas Cowboys. They also don't have Mari Cooper, so it's going to be just CeeDee Lamb now. And then on the other side of things, you have the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I am bullish on Tom Brady coming off the heat that he's been taking, and bullish on Mike Evans kind of dominating Trayvon Diggs. I think that's going to be a mismatch. So I like the Bucks minus 2.5.
Okay. And that's a Dallas team where I think people are sleeping on the difficulties they're going to have. And They are sleeping on what the Bucs still have, which is the best player in the NFL, in my opinion, Tom Brady. Okay, last one. Last one. Okay. The Minnesota Vikings are 1.5-point home dogs at Metrodome against the Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers. Total on the game is 47. I already talked about the over, which I like. But I do think this is one of those where every single year. Now, in the 2020 pandemic year, the Vikings were favored by 2 in this exact game. Mm-hmm. Again, it's one of those where, most of the fans are going to be Vikings fans. There's going to be a lot of Packers fans in that stadium, especially early on in the season. This is a humongous game for Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, and the Vikings because they play the Eagles on the road in Monday Night Football the following week, which is going to be a tough game. They play Detroit at home in week 3, which is going to be a tough game. Then they go to London and play New Orleans.
True.
They get the Packers at the best possible time because we don't know anything about the Packers wide receivers. The offensive line is getting healthier but still banged up. The defense, which we believe is going to be great for Green Bay, we don't know that yet, right? It hasn't accumulated himself.
They're the 9th best team according to the 33rd team.
Yeah, exactly. Vikings, I think, were 16th.
Did the 33rd team put themselves 33rd, or how did that work?
Falcons 33rd.
Oh, okay.
You have to. Okay, so I like Green Bay here, and here's the one reason why. I think the Vikings defense is still really overrated. I think every single player that you talk about on that Vikings defense, rightfully positively, right? So you talk about Patrick Peterson, you talk about Eric Kendricks, you talk about Donnell Hunter, you talk about Harrison Smith, Zadarius Smith. All of those players are on like the wrong side of age, right? All those players are, and they don't have depth. And they're switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and they've been one of the softer teams against the run forever. The Packers, for all their foibles offensively, are not a soft team running the football. And so I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to do enough with the Sammy Watkinses and the Romeo Doubs and the Randall Cobbs of the world. And I think that when they get a lead, they're going to be able to control the Minnesota Vikings by running the football. It says a lot that the Vikings traded a draft pick for Ross Blacklock, and they cut Armon Watts, a guy that was supposed to start for them on the defensive line. I just don't think that the Green Bay Packers are going to, and the other thing is Green Bay came out extremely flat last year and lost bigly to the New Orleans Saints. I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to come out here and overcome expectations, right? What is this spread if these teams are fully formed is a good question. If there's not as much uncertainty about Green Bay, let's say their receivers hit, what's the spread of this game?
Probably Packers by 3.5.
Right? And I think a lot of people everybody loves, like, if you look at the Vikings win totals in the offseason every single year, all they do is trend up, right? They all they do is trend up. The point spreads trend their direction early in the season. Everybody likes the Vikings, and I get that. Like, when you add it up, it should be good there. And maybe that's where O'Connell comes in, and he completely makes Zimmer look like a fool for doing so much less with more the last few years. But I need to see it to believe it.
I like that. Let me give you Unamas. I'm going to pick one here. I have a few that I like, actually. You should go to PFF, get your PFF Plus subscription. You can go check all of these out on PFF.com and in the PFF app, by the way. I like our Cleveland Browns. And I hate – I shouldn't do it because karma's bad. So actually, screw the Cleveland Browns, even though it's 91% of the cash, 77% of the tickets are on the Carolina Panthers. Everyone is writing off the Cleveland Browns. I think Myles Garrett is going to eat Ike Ekwonu alive and then eat Baker Mayfield alive. But maybe the ghost of the massage therapist loser himself comes back to bite him in the ass. Who knows? So I'll go in a different direction, and I'll just toss this one out here because I think this one is interesting to me. And this is the Washington Commanders at home. -2.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. No one is talking about the Washington Commanders. I have not heard a single person like this team. Okay, this opened as Washington -3.5. It is now crossed 3. It is 2.5. The Washington Commanders are better at just about every position than the Jaguars are, no?
Yeah, quarterback is the potential, right?
Well, except for quarterback, sorry.
Yeah.
Except for quarterback.
I mean, but even then, like Carson Wentz played better than Trevor Lawrence last year. People are
right. I mean, you're expecting some positive.
You're expecting that, right? But you're right. I mean, like the offensive line, I think that the Jaguars are terrible. I think that Washington is average, which is what you want. Defensive line, I know Chase Young's not there. You know, Trayvon Walker, it'll be interesting to see how he does and how Aiden Hutchinson does this weekend. You know, the secondary for Washington, you know, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson III. I know Renner likes the under interceptions for Lawrence. Maybe they button him up a little bit and he doesn't throw as many interceptions. But I mean, look, the only reason I'm not that huge on this is the market resistance has been
it's been strong.
You had 3.5 on the open. 3 is what we talked about the other day. And now you get 2.5, and it makes me question myself a little bit that there are smart people who like the Jags. But there are smart people who are long on the Jags this year. You know, you're talking about division title. You're talking about – and I actually, you know, tongue-in-cheek yesterday on the podcast with Seren, I said I like the Jags in the South. But week 1, right, sometimes these teams that everybody likes, and I'm also talking about you, Detroit, these teams that people like come out flat in week 1. Right? Even if they're going to be okay football teams, they come out flat in week 1. So that's something to think about.
Okay, we're going to pick our lock of the week here in just a second. But before we do, we have a new sponsor for today's podcast. I'm excited about this one. They're called Bro Throw, which fits perfectly. You look like you've been to a Bro Throw before. So here's the deal. Everyone spends a lot of time on sports books. When you do, you have to bet $11 to win 10, right? That's why you get minus 110 odds. There's that tax. That's how the sports books are making
It's
their
called
margin.
the Bros Throw.
Yeah. Well, at Bro Throw, this is not a sports book. This is not a place where you go pay a juice. This is a social platform where you decide to bet with other awesome people on the platform. It's that simple. You go onto their website, brothrow.com/PFF to sign up. And it's free to sign up, by the way. There's no anything there. And you can just place friendly wagers with friends, and they help you figure out what the right price is, so people can offer you something that's a bad deal, but you don't have to take it. They'll let you know that, so you're not confused there. And it's a great opportunity for people that are not in a state that offers a sports book. No fees, no juice, no middlemen, and you can do it anywhere. So I'm actually we're in Ohio. I want to get some money down here in a place that isn't in Antigua. I'm doing it tonight. So come hang out with me on Bro Throw. If you find me there, you can bet with or against me if you'd like. Maybe this is the way I'll finally capitalize on all those steak dinners that the good doctor owes
You
me.
owe me.
For people that are new to the podcast, was it 2 years ago?
You ran the table on me one year, yeah.
It was. I think it was 2 years ago now. And Eric and I placed what started as a friendly wager that was a steak dinner.
Oh.
I won, and then I went on to win 10 more.
Yeah, you were on a heater for sure.
But I have yet to earn a steak. So
true. We did have octopus.
We did have octopus last night in Cincinnati. Huge.
It counts as half an octopus by the time it gets here. But yes. So it's a quadrupus. That's what it's called.
I was trying to think about what that was going to be. The quadrupus.
Quadrupus sounds like a fun college activity.
Oh, no. This is a family show.
Sorry.
Oh, man. Anyways, all of you members of the printing press that are out there, go hang out on Bro Throw.
Our last ad with Bro Throw, probably.
Yeah, probably. Brothrow.com/PFF. Is there a deal that they're giving everybody? Something somewhere. Just sign up at that code. I'll figure it out. We'll get something in there. You get to bet with me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, why not? Plus, sportsbooks aren't legal in all states. So if you're in one of those states, like California, for example, go make it happen. All right, we got to decide. First lock of the week.
You know where my head's at.
I wonder what the chat thinks.
Yeah, let's crowdsource this a little bit. Of the bets that we talked about, the crowd, Peter Jeagles. It seems to be the two the two people that are fighting over Eagles takes right now.
No.
Who should be the lock of the week?
So we have Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. We have Bucks minus 2.5.
Packers minus 1.5.
Packers minus 1.5, which I like quite a bit as well. We have Raiders plus 3.5. And we have
we're overthinking this, George. Come on. Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns is plus 134. We're laying minus 110 with Derek Carr otherwise, right? Like this is right. Some of these things are not that difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
I guess the only thing I'm a little nervous about is new receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there a chance that they do a little more running by the goal line? And they're big favorites. So, do they get up big and then salt it away?
That's a good question. I see that. I raise you the Arizona Cardinals defense.
Never bet on the Raiders is a take. We have some Mahomes passing touchdown love. All right. Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. That's the lock of week 1. Hopefully everyone enjoys Bills Rams tonight. Bets that Cooper Kupp over. That's what I'm going to Bro Throw to bet right now. Let me get on there. Make it happen. Going to pay for my dinner. All right. We love you all. We'll see you on Sunday. Sunday night. We're back. Sunday night. We're back.
In studio.
Yes. So for anyone that's new to this podcast, and of course no one's listening anymore, but we go live right after Sunday Night Football. We guess the lines for the upcoming week. It is a blast. I highly recommend that you guess the lines too, and then go through it with us. It's a really good way to kind of sharpen your particular angle on a game. And then we pick some early bets to place that week. Maybe we'll do it on Bro Throw. Who knows? Peace.